God, it's going to be loud. It's going to be loud.
Loud inside.
And it's going to be crazy.
I mean, it's kind of quiet and businesslike outside. You would know, my friend. You would know. Tell me about your outfit. What's going on here?
This is just shorts.
Swim trunks. Loved everything that he has implemented in the past, so I love if we could put that back into office to keep that going.
Like what stuff?
I like the border control.
I have supported him with checks and the gold Trump bars. $100 gold things. I can't get rid of this.
Comedian and political pundit Jordan Klepper wasted no time getting after former President Donald Trump following his poorly attended speech last night. Klepper, as usual, unleashed a torrent of laughter and commentary on social media by dissecting Trump's response to the empty seats with his sharp humor and signature wit. In turn, Trump's statement ignited a contentious debate, which captivated people across the country. In the midst of Donald Trump's growing legal troubles, comedian Jordan Klepper of The Daily Show attacked the president's latest fundraising strategy, the publication of a personal translation of the Bible. Klepper took a humorous approach by criticizing Trump's decision to release the God Bless the USA Bible. He made light of Trump's claims that the Bible is one of his favorite books and that he has many copies at home.
All Americans need a Bible in their home, and I have many. It's my favorite book.
Trump is mashing together the Bible and the Constitution like it's a Pizza Hut Taco Bell. And I know people will say that you're not supposed to mix the Bible and the Constitution. But what you have to understand is Trump has never read either of them.
Klepper reeled off the number many over and over again. How does that thing not burst into flames immediately? The words of God Bless the USA, a patriotic song by country artist Lee Greenwood, which is often played at Trump rallies, are included into Trump's version of the Bible.
I'm proud to be partnering with my very good friend Lee Greenwood. Who doesn't love his song, God Bless the USA, in connection with promoting the God Bless the USA Bible. This Bible is the King James Version and also includes our Founding Father documents, yes, the Constitution, also the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and the Pledge of Allegiance.
The United States Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the Declaration of Independence are also included in it. Klepper snapped at Trump for combining the Bible and the Constitution in an unorthodox way. I know some would argue that the Bible and the Constitution are incompatible, but Trump has clearly never read any of them. Klepper thought of a funny way ahead for this strange project and presented his predictions. Trump getting into business with God can only mean one thing. God is going to end up bankrupt and serving a 3-month prison sentence for lying under oath, according to him.
And look at this. Trump getting into business with God can only mean one thing. God is going to end up bankrupt and serving a 3-month prison sentence for lying under oath. That Trump just made $5 billion on his new stock.
As a guest host on The Daily Show, Jordan Klepper goes into his conversations with conservatives across the country and offers insightful commentary. He delves into how Fox News shaped their views, drawing attention to how, after the 2020 election, dissatisfaction with Fox's reportage prompted a noticeable migration towards alternative sites such as Newsmax and OAN. Klepper stresses that Trump has contributed to a decline in trust in the media and an increase in the popularity of biased narratives. Counselors within the campaign saw the low turnout at the rally as a manifestation of serious concern about the coronavirus and the crushing reality of President Trump's falling poll numbers. The outdoor overflow gathering in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where President Trump and Vice President Pence were supposed to appear, ended up being almost deserted, despite initial reports of around 1 million ticket registrations. The president had made an unfounded claim that his events were always sold out. It was relayed to him on Air Force One, nevertheless, that the arena's attendance was lower than expected. According to 4 sources acquainted with the matter, the president was visibly puzzled and irritated upon seeing rows upon rows of vacant blue seats in the stadium's upper bowl. He allegedly resorted to ranting at aides backstage in an effort to convey his feelings. It is worth mentioning that the event's organizer, campaign manager Brad Parscale, was not there. Before President Trump could take the stage, Vice President Pence quickly left the stage after his speech at approximately 6:30 p.m. in Tulsa. Be that as it may, an unforeseen holdup occurred. Deputy Chief of Staff for Mr. Trump, Dan Scavino, came out from behind black curtains to look over the upper rows of empty seats. At long last, President Trump made his grand entrance and gave a speech that wandered aimlessly. Using racially insensitive language, he called the coronavirus the Kung Flu, and he spent more than 15 minutes explaining a video clip showing his careful descent down a ramp after his West Point commencement speech. He also blasted the fake news for reporting on health concerns before his event. Advisors noticed that Mr. Trump's spirits had improved as the event came to a close. Having left the stage, though, he seemed to have temporarily lost some of his vigor. He seemed much more somber somber when he stepped out of the arena than he had been inside. When he disembarked from Marine One after returning to the White House, his tie was loosened and dangling around his neck. Clutching a shredded red campaign cap in one hand, he waved to reporters with an expression of defeat. The investigation into what had happened was continuing. It became clear to many of Mr. Trump's associates and advisors that his efforts to minimize public worries about the coronavirus's indoor spread had been fruitless. Despite Mr. Trump's best efforts, they said, multiple polls had shown his support dwindling. Plus, they made a concession that he could be heading in the direction of defeat in the November election, should he be challenged by the presumed Democratic contender Joseph R. Biden Jr., who is a former vice president. Among the advisors present at the event was Jared Kushner, who is both the president's top advisor and son-in-law. He effectively oversees the campaign. Nevertheless, he will definitely be essential in determining the approach to next rallies. Many advisors held campaign manager Mr. Parscale responsible for the inflated turnout estimates. However, in a response, Parscale denied that TikTok users and aficionados of Korean pop music had any influence on the turnout. At future events, he even hinted at the possibility of limiting media access. Leftists and online trolls doing a victory lap thinking they somehow impacted rally attendance don't know what they're talking about or how our rallies work, Saif said.
Not familiar with Nikki Haley?
Globalist. She belongs to the fascists.
She was in the UN, for God's sake.
I know. That's a global fascist capital of the world.
He shifted the blame on the news media, saying they were to blame for the low turnout. The reality is that individuals brought their families and children to the rally despite the false news media's warnings for a week about COVID and protesters, along with recent images of American cities on fire, he stated. In private, campaign officials confessed that a large number of event registrants were actually online pranksters rather than actual supporters. Regardless, a campaign advisor maintained that the troll data would be useful for improving the formula used to predict how many people will show up at rallies. In an interview, Mr. Parscale cast blame on Tulsa police for allegedly overreacting and barring supporters' entrance. He also claimed to have thousands of emails from disgruntled fans who were unable to get into the Bank of Oklahoma Center. Parscale denied responsibility for the arena being empty. This assertion is unsubstantiated since Parscale did not offer any proof. The rumors concerning Parscale's job security were quickly dispelled when he made the amusing comment that he had been fired 85 weeks in a row. But Trump saw the low turnout in Oklahoma firsthand, unlike in other cases where advisors withheld information from him, such Joe Biden's fundraising success in May. The rally, according to several White House sources, was a total bust and a preventable blunder that only served to inflame tensions among the president's advisors on both the campaign and the administration. In addition, Parscale and other campaign surrogates openly discussed making more outside appearances, despite repeated warnings from Trump's White House officials against doing so. The outdoor platform for an actual Donald Trump rally in Tulsa is currently under construction, Brad Parscale tweeted. The president will be addressing the two audiences face-to-face for the first time. You can still see the president in person, even if you don't manage to get into the box center before it's filled if you attend the rally. Some in the White House are now claiming that the campaign is trying to cover up the real reasons why the rally was a bust. They conceded that many of Trump's more senior supporters skipped the event because of worries about the COVID-19 risks, something Trump has repeatedly denied. Those who have followed the former president's antics closely know that Donald Trump has a tendency to be petty. Nevertheless, his most recent tirade targeting Bill Barr during his late-night segment has garnered him a new moniker from Jordan Klepper, a correspondent for The Daily Show and co-host for This Week, the self-proclaimed monarch of pettiness. According to Klepper's co-host Ronnie Chiang, there was some good news for Trump as he returned to a New York City courtroom for his hush money trial. Bill Barr, who had been critical of Trump's fitness for office for months, finally made an announcement. Trump's former Attorney General Bill Barr said he's voting for him anyway, reported Chiang. You may expect Trump to answer with the usual elegance. Wow, former Attorney General Bill Barr, who disappointed many by failing to investigate allegations of voter fraud, has now backed me for president, according to a post by Trump on Truth Social. This endorsement comes after Trump had criticized Barr for being weak, sluggish, lethargic, gutless, and lazy. I am eliminating the word lethargic from my statement since I deeply value his enthusiastic endorsement, New York Post. Much obliged, Bill. 2020 MAGA. Klepper, who fondly called the former president the king of pettiness, couldn't help but laugh at the president's antics. In a parallel universe, Trump was probably a sorority president who was overwhelmed with shade. Klepper went on to say, "Wow, Bill, that bikini is so cute. Wearing that takes a lot of courage. Wow, you're amazing." A lot of people are looking forward to the New York courthouse trial of Donald Trump in the Stormy Daniels hush money case because they think it will be the scene of all the mayhem.
Trump's recent court challenges have inspired a brand new demand. Trump has been talking right now about, he says he thinks he should be immune from the actions he takes while president. You think he should have total immunity?
Otherwise, everyone's going to jail.
Jordan Klepper, a journalist for The Daily Show, was present, as one might expect. Klepper, who is well known for his reporting on Trump rallies and for being present during the incident on January 6th at the U.S. Capitol, found a considerably calmer atmosphere than the president had predicted.
Porter?
Absolutely, I was a Republican, and I was wrong that day for even being there. January 6th was an insurrection.
Keep your voice down. This is a Trump rally. That's not the most popular take to have right now.
When Jordan Klepper got back on the campaign trail, he found out that Donald Trump's backers were eager to give him the dictatorial powers he had threatened but had previously said he would reserve for his inauguration. On Tuesday's episode of Klepper's The Daily Show, several Trump followers took their support for the president's authoritarian rhetoric to a new level.
A dictatorship for day one.
Yeah.
And that's what we need.
What does that actually look like?
Well, that means that about half the people in the Department of Justice should be arrested and put behind bars.
However, Trump isn't asking to be a king. He wants to be a different kind of ruler.
He says, "You're not going to be a dictator, are you?" I said, no, other than day one.
Well, you know, it needs to happen.
Donald Trump said he'll be a dictator day one. What do you think of that? Is that a good idea?
Let's get it done. Get in and get it done. Let's go.
An attendee at a different event made an argument that the former president uses allegories to explain his racist claims, such as the one that immigrants are corrupting the nation's blood.
They don't know our American history and our values.
Nor do they respect it.
So when he says poisoning our country, it sounds harsh. It sounds much nicer in the original German.
What he's talking about is the blood of the country's been tainted. People have come here and immigrated. It's a different story.
In defending Trump, we see both the unwavering devotion of his followers and the extreme measures some are prepared to go to explain away his divisive remarks. It is indicative of a larger tendency in his fan base to see even his most divisive comments as symbolic or metaphorical portrayals of more fundamental realities. Not only does the storyline keep polarizing rhetoric alive and well, but it also questions the standards of public discourse by muddying political debate with fiction. Saturday night's campaign rally for President Donald Trump at the Biox Center drew fewer than 6,200 people.
You're fine with Trump as king?
Yes.
Trump as king is good.
Yep.
And that's about as American as you can get.
Yes, it is.
King Trump.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The good people are over here, the bad people are over here in the gulag.
At this point, it's what America needs.
He's not going to be like a Hitler dictator. No, more like a Mussolini dictator for a day.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Put the people in place.
A dictator can do that, right?
According to the Tulsa Fire Department, the public information officer for the Tulsa Fire Department told KJRH that the president's event drew little under 6,200 attendees. According to the public information officer, PIO, those figures do not account for employees, suite holders, or members of the media. Jordan Klepper's stinging criticism of Trump's response to the empty seats resounded widely following the sparsely attended speech, adding to a narrative of political spectacle and public disappointment. Amid the online echo of Trump's tantrum, Klepper's astute remarks were a sobering reminder of the efficacy of humor in bringing powerful people to justice. This episode demonstrated how humor can still play a significant role in influencing public conversation and questioning authority, as Trump's diatribe and Klepper's reaction exemplified the chaotic mix of politics and entertainment.
It matters.
Fidelity that matters.
Wait, when you say fidelity matters, you're not talking about like marital.
All fidelity matters.
Fidelity matters. Have fun in there inside with Donald Trump.
Donald Trump's presidency, spanning from 2016 to 2020, was contentious and filled with significant events that sparked widespread debate and criticism. Trump's journey to the presidency itself was controversial, with accusations of interference from foreign entities and questions about the legitimacy of his victory in the 2016 election. Throughout his time in office, Trump faced numerous allegations of dishonesty and unethical behavior, which further fueled the polarization surrounding his administration. One of the most significant policy areas during Trump's presidency was healthcare. Trump and his administration attempted to repeal the Affordable Care Act, ACA, commonly known as Obamacare, which had been a cornerstone of President Obama's legacy. Despite several attempts and promises to replace it with a better alternative, including the introduction of the American Health Care Act, AHCA, these efforts ultimately did not succeed. The healthcare debate highlighted deep divisions in Congress and among the American public regarding access to affordable affordable health care. Immigration policy was another area where Trump's presidency made headlines. His administration implemented strict measures aimed at reducing illegal immigration, including the controversial policy of separating migrant children from their families at the U.S.-Mexico border. This policy drew widespread condemnation both domestically and internationally, leading to protests and legal challenges. Trump also pushed for the construction of a border wall between the United States and Mexico, arguing it was necessary for national security. The wall became a symbol of his administration's approach to immigration enforcement. Economically, Trump's presidency saw a period of relative stability and growth, with tax cuts and deregulation being key components of his economic agenda. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, signed into law by Trump, aimed to stimulate economic growth by lowering corporate tax rates and providing tax relief for individuals. Proponents of the tax cuts argued that they would boost business investment and job creation. However, critics raised concerns about the long-term impact on government revenue and economic inequality. Trump's foreign policy decisions also attracted scrutiny and debate. His administration pursued an America First agenda, emphasizing the prioritization of U.S. interests in international relations. Trump took a confrontational approach towards traditional U.S. allies and international organizations, often criticizing them for what he perceived as unfair treatment of the United States. He also pursued diplomatic efforts, including high-profile meetings with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and negotiations aimed at achieving peace in the Middle East. The Trump presidency was characterized by its use of social media, particularly Twitter, as a direct communication tool with the public. Trump's tweets often sparked controversy and dominated news cycles, sometimes overshadowing policy discussions and official statements from his administration. His unorthodox communication style, characterized by frequent use of insults and inflammatory language, contributed to the divisive atmosphere surrounding his presidency. Throughout his tenure, Trump faced numerous legal challenges and investigations, including special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election and possible collusion with Trump's campaign. The Mueller report, released in 2019, did not establish that the Trump campaign conspired with Russia, but it did outline several instances of potential obstruction of justice by the president. These investigations and subsequent impeachment proceedings further intensified political tensions in Washington and across the country. In December 2019, Trump became the third president in U.S. history to be impeached by the House of Representatives. The impeachment proceedings centered on allegations that Trump had abused his power by pressuring Ukraine to investigate his political rival, Joe Biden, and obstructed Congress by refusing to cooperate with the impeachment inquiry. In February 2020, the Senate acquitted Trump of both charges, allowing him to remain in office. The COVID-19 pandemic emerged as a defining crisis of Trump's presidency in 2020. The Trump administration faced criticism for its handling of the pandemic, including delays in testing, inconsistent messaging on public health measures, and disputes with state and local officials over the response efforts. The pandemic also had profound economic implications, leading to widespread job losses and disruptions to businesses. In November 2020, Trump lost his bid for re-election to Joe Biden, marking the end of his presidency. Trump's refusal to concede defeat and his baseless claims of widespread voter fraud sparked further controversy and divided public opinion. The transition period between the Trump and Biden administrations was marked by unprecedented challenges, including the storming of the U.S. Capitol by pro-Trump supporters in January 2021, which resulted in violence, deaths, and widespread condemnation.
Excuse me, is the sedition happening over here? Is the sedition, is it over here? So, we've been following this protest. We headed to the Capitol. Do you know where the sedition is?
Stop this deal! Stop this deal!
And the Trump supporters just broke through the gates and they're now heading into the Capitol right now.
Nor shall we ever be consented to be governed by an illegal, fraudulent election.
Donald Trump's presidency was defined by its controversies, policy battles, and unconventional approach to governance. His tenure was marked by significant accomplishments such as tax cuts and regulatory reforms, as well as profound challenges, including the COVID-19 pandemic and impeachment proceedings. Trump's presidency left a lasting impact on American politics and society, shaping debates on issues ranging from immigration and healthcare to the role of social media in public discourse.